Hi there, I'm Simon from Juicers.co.uk, and today we're going to compare cold press and centrifugal juicers in order to show you what makes them different and ultimately which might best suit your needs. Each of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, therefore knowing what they can offer is definitely useful before making a purchase decision. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, it's pretty crucial to understand what makes these two juicer styles different. Starting off with centrifugal juicers, these are typically defined by their fast operation speed. Working from anywhere between 10,000 to 25,000 rotations per minute, they use a cutting blade disc to finely shred ingredients. Then centrifugal force pulls the juice that has been released from that cutting process towards a fine mesh filter that surrounds the blade disc. The juice then passes through the mesh, and the leftover pulp is thrown into a waste container on the side. On the flip side, cold press juicers work very differently. Also known as masticating or slow juicers, this style represents the opposite end of the spectrum, with slow operating speeds between 40 to 150 rotations per minute. Additionally, instead of shredding ingredients, cold press juicers use a large screw element called an auger to crush and grind ingredients, pressing the juice out of them. The juice is then passed through a conical sieve, separating it from the pulp, which is compacted and dropped into a separate container. So, now you know what qualifies a juicer to be either cold press or centrifugal. And as you might have guessed, these two different juicing methods have quite a large impact on end results. To demonstrate that, let's do a quick comparison. Representing centrifugal juicers, we'll be using this model from ACOC, which is currently Amazon's choice when it comes to juicers, with a 4.5-star average rating from over 1,000 reviews. Is it the best centrifugal juicer out there? No, but it is a very typical option, which should represent centrifugal models and their advantages more accurately than a premium model by Sage would. Then, representing cold press juicers, we'll use the Huron H100, a capable model from a well-renowned brand that, like the ACOC, isn't the very best in terms of juicing ability, but performs at a level typical for a vast majority of cold press models. Now, first off, we'll start by making a juice with ingredients that should be easy for both of these juices. In this case, we'll be making a delicious pear, cucumber, and grape juice. Additionally, to ensure this is a fair test, we've weighed out an even quantity of the ingredients and have prepared them all to a similar standard. Moving into the test, with this particular selection of ingredients, both juicers work well, providing a pretty continuous flow of juice. Quite impressively, the H100 keeps pace with the ACOC, although it is worth noting that the ingredients have been prepared to the H100's limits, therefore the ACOC could certainly take larger chunks for a faster experience. However, while the processes were similar, the juicers each model extracted tell quite a different story. In terms of volume, they aren't too dissimilar, but based on colour and density, there's a big difference. The cold press juice is much richer with a stronger overall flavour, where the ACOC's juice is thinner and separates in just a few minutes of sitting still. On a purely factual level, it's a lower quality end product. Moving on, let's see how they both cope with some tougher ingredients. This time we'll use carrot, ginger and apple as the basis of the juice, which will make for a more nutritionally beneficial combination without completely sacrificing on taste. As with the first round, both juicers handle themselves well. The ACOC in particular exceeds expectations, and when set to its higher power level, it has no issues with the tougher produce. The Huron, as expected, makes short work of these ingredients, producing some very well pressed and dry pulp. As for the end products, once again, there's a pretty clear difference, although after the first comparison, that would be expected. However, this time it was also quite clear that the ACOC has struggled with certain ingredients, and the final juice is certainly lacking that expected kick of ginger that is definitely present in the cold press juice. Now, with that in mind, we're also keen to see if the claims that the ACOC can juice leafy greens are true. Typically, centrifugal models struggle a lot with greens such as kale, spinach and wheatgrass. So let's do one final comparison to see what happens. This time, sadly, our expectations have not been blown away. The ACOG, as we expected, can barely extract any juice from the kale and spinach we put into it. On the other hand, the Huron powers through it and has extracted an impressive overall yield considering the ingredients. Side by side, the final juices couldn't be much further apart. No surprises here, but even the most popular of centrifugal juicers struggle with leafy greens. So, on a straight up juicing comparison, it's probably fair to say that cold press juicers have quite a distinct advantage. However, whilst juice quality and yield are both important factors, they aren't the only ones that matter. First off, as we stated when using the ACOG, it offers a quick juicing process. And this is true for pretty much all centrifugal models. At the end of the day, they work at a high speed and can tear through ingredients without clogging up, which is undoubtedly an advantage. Although, modern cold press models like the H100 we use today have certainly closed the user experience gap. Next up, price is also a big factor. And while more affordable cold press juicers from reputable brands are beginning to pop up, they still cost quite a bit more than the average centrifugal juicer. Therefore, if you have a tighter budget, it's better to have a centrifugal juicer than no juicer at all. Although, as with anything, the more you spend, the better the quality of the product will be. Now, while centrifugal models certainly do have an edge in some ways, they also lose out in some important areas. Of course, we've already seen disparities in juice quality, but they also suffer from shorter warranty cover, lower quality materials, and overall reliability issues. Many cold press juicers from top brands have warranties stretching to a decade or longer. Whereas for most centrifugal juicers, it's not uncommon for them to fail after a year or even less. So in the long run, they can be more expensive. However, some higher quality premium centrifugal models, such as those produced by Sage, do remedy some of these issues. Overall, it's tough to say which of these two juicer styles is the best outright. They each have their own advantages, but ultimately they service different groups and needs. If you're low on time and don't want to commit much money to juicing, then a centrifugal model is likely to be a great choice. Yet if you want great juice quality, yields, and good warranty cover, then choosing a cold press model is a no-brainer. Realistically, there is no wrong choice. Simply make your decision on the factors that are most important to you.